and now you've got the ex-president of Brazil, Mr. President Bolsonaro, coming onto the space. So, how does that feel for you in terms of like the honor of having the opportunity to speak to him?
It's been a pleasure to interview former Prime Minister Imran Khan, but the similarities between Imran Khan and Pakistan, who's a lot of people like to call the Trump of Pakistan, and we've got here President Jair Bolsonaro, who again many refer to, kind of make the comparisons to former President Trump, just based on the political targeting that we've seen in Pakistan and in Brazil, and the similarities are striking. You've got both were under investigation while we interviewed them. Prime Minister Imran Khan, or former Prime Minister Imran Khan, was jailed not long after the interview.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Not related to the space we did. That was an investigation that was imminent. Everyone was expecting it. He was already arrested prior to that. And they've both faced an assassination attempt, a failed assassination attempt. And they're both facing political prosecution. You can agree or disagree with their stances. They've both been censored in Pakistan. Twitter is actually, as far as I know, banned in Pakistan. Has been banned for a long time. And now we're seeing the risk of Twitter X being banned in Brazil, and Elon saying that he's ready for that if that's the cost of free speech as he battles censorship in the country. So it's been a very stressful but very important battle that we're facing. I just want to make sure, guys, if we could remove two speakers from the panel and then bring them up later on, because we filled up the panel before the president can join. We need 2 spots, and we do have the president's son requesting as well. We do have to bring him up as well. So if we could remove 3 speakers, 1 for the main account of the president, 1 for the alternative account that he'll be using, and 1 for Mr. Eduardo Bolsonaro, who's been on our stage not long ago. And I'd love Eduardo to kind of speak about the importance of the space, the difficulty that the former president is facing right now. So guys, I'll let you just kind of rotate 2 more speakers, if you don't mind, leaving out translators, Mario and Ricardo. Eduardo.
I'm good. Very glad that we are all here. Yes, it's true. I was looking for some comments, people saying that they are not, they cannot listen. But welcome to the censorship of Brazil. I think this is not a question anymore.
And Eduardo, at first, I appreciate you joining, sir. My question to you is, what difficulties has your father been facing? I had a call with him earlier as we prepare for the space. He's going to be joining shortly, as he faces obviously a few restrictions. I want you to give an overview for the audience, and you've been on our stage earlier, of the difficulties you, your allies and the president's allies, your father's allies and himself, have been facing in recent weeks and months.
We would need at least a couple of hours to talk about everything about this issue. The problem, in fact, is that we don't have a law. You don't have a constitution anymore in Brazil. So you have no parameters. You have no basis to guide your behavior. For example, my father, he's forbidden to talk with the president of his party, remembering that we are going to have elections. The municipal election is coming in October now in Brazil. So it's hard because my father is under investigation. Elon is also in Brazil under investigation in the same investigation that was opened by the Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. You have some investigations opened. They say they are the victims, and sometimes usually in the beginning they do not have the approval of the DAs to start these investigations. So they accuse, they are the judges, they're the victims. So it's very hard to say what can happen. So every time that you go publicly and talk about this kind of issue, you're taking a risk that things happen. Maybe the federal police can go to your house, just like what happened in January 25th. My father came back again to do live streaming. He did a very big one, way more than 500,000 people listening to him during a live streaming. And on the next day, what happened is the federal police went to his house, seized some computers, so this is the way that the dictatorship sends their messages. They really want to kill this spontaneous movement. But the problem is my father keep bringing a lot of people to the streets, and they don't know how to handle with that.
My question to you as well, and we'll go to the panel as well as we wait for the president to join, Eduardo, is kind of give us an overview of how this all started. I know you've been very involved. What did Alexander de Moraes do that triggered Elon to not ban the accounts? What was the request that Elon faced in terms of banning some accounts? And what has happened since? We know that ex-employees have been threatened. They're under threat. You know, Elon's trying to ensure their safety. He's worried about them being imprisoned. And we are seeing that back and forth, that investigation into Elon. Can you give us an idea of the overview that we've been talking about for the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think the beginning of this, the Twitter Files Brazil scandal, it was when Elon asked, using the X, asked Alexandre de Moraes. It's very curious that you have justices of the Supreme Court all the time giving their opinions. I think it was a work for the politicians, for the congressmen and senators. But anyway, Elon asked Alexandre de Moraes why he was demanding so much censorship. And then after that, in a couple of days, Alexandre de Moraes, who is a Supreme Court Justice of Brazil, he declared that Elon was under investigation because anti-democratic acts. It's about the January 8th that we had here in Brazil. So basically, what he's doing, like everybody he wants, he sent to this investigation. He controls the investigation. He sent the federal police to the people's house. He's arresting people. He arrested. I mean, nowadays he's arrested for more than 2 months. The former foreign affairs advisors of President Bolsonaro, his name is Felipe Martins. It's pretty much like Jared Kushner was for President Trump. He's under arrest because supposedly he traveled to United States in the end of 2022. So he was accused to run away from the country, but in fact he didn't go to United States. He was still in Brazil. He proved that he was in Brazil, but still he's in jail. So you have it's very hard to say about what can happen in Brazil. But going back, how this all started, it all started with Elon talking publicly by X with Alexandre de Moraes, and after that, the Congress of the United States, the Judiciary Committee under the presidency of Congressman Jim Jordan, asked, or better, required Elon to send all the conversations, all the messages that he changed or the X changed with the electoral court that we have here in Brazil. Remembering that electoral court in the elections of 2022 was chaired by Alexandre de Moraes, who is a Supreme Court justice. So he had these two functions. He was a Supreme Court justice, and at the same time, he was the president of the Superior Electoral Court during the 2022 election. And so Elon sent everything that he had, or better, that ex-Brazil had, to the court, to the Judiciary Committee, and they did a report of more than 500 pages. And now the next step, they are waiting to listen not only Elon, but also Mr. Pavlovsky, who is the owner of Rumble, the journalist Michael Schellenberg, who is a journalist that is launching and speaking about everything that is going on the Twitter Files Brazil. I think it's the main voice from the press talking about this scandal. And the journalist Paulo Figueiredo, who is exiled nowadays in the United States. He cannot go back to Brazil, otherwise he's going to prison. And you ask why? Because his opinions. I see here that we have Ana Paula Henkel, and for sure some other journalists from Brazil, people that had problems in the past because their opinions. It was forbidden to criticize Lula da Silva. Basically, what Elon sent to the U.S. Congress and the Judiciary Committee made this report of more than 500 pages. It was about hundreds of conservatives' profiles that was censored during the elections and after the elections in Brazil. To be very honest, there was only one user that I saw that wasn't a conservative user. It was the profile of the PCO, is the Party of the Operários Cause, if I can translate like that.
It's a radical communist party in Brazil. It's a far left communist party.
Yes, thank you, Balaban. Thank you, Balaban. But anyway, they were censored for the same reason that we were being censored, is that criticize Lula became forbidden in Brazil. So we cannot say that Lula is friend of Maduro. You cannot say that Lula is friend of Ortega from Nicaragua, that he was in favor of abortion, in favor of the liberation of the drugs. And basically what he's doing nowadays is all the policies that he has and his ministers go in favor of all of that. So it was forbidden to criticize Lula da Silva. So a lot of profiles got censored. Only till you have one idea, if you are listening me for United States, it's like you started the campaign and you censor it. Fox News, you censor Tucker Carlson, you censor Steve Crowder, Joe Rogan, and all of these guys at the same time. Because a lot of profiles, people that had millions and millions of followers, like Luciano Hang, there was, from the day to the night, there was no more social media. So this is the case that we are debating. I see here also Barbara from the Profile Te Atualizei. In 2021, this lady is was a YouTuber at that time. She got the monetization of the YouTube. The Superior Electoral Court decided that she cannot receive money from YouTube anymore. 2021, we didn't have election. And it was the Electoral Court censoring people like that because they know that the main source of income of these people is the work that they do on social media. Because we conservatives here in Brazil, we do not survive and use the taxpayer money. So this is a big picture of what was going on in Brazil.
Let me just find a quick update. So we are in talks with the president. He's, we'll probably do a tweet on all the issues we're facing for the president or former president to join. We do have a lot of, congressmen in stage. I can see also Nicolas Ferreira in the audience. We'll be bringing him up. I see US politicians as well in the audience. We'll be bringing you up as well, among other guests. So just for the audience, Ricardo, if you could just translate this message for the audience, anyone in Brazil that is listening, please tell them that we will be translating the back and forth that we have with the president when we begin the discussion, when he joins the space. So that's the first thing. And then please inform them all to make sure that they tweet telling others in Brazil to use a VPN if they want to be able to join the space as a speaker or even as a listener. Ricardo, if you can translate that message or these two messages, it'd be great. Then I'll give the mic to Suleiman.
Alrighty. Boa noite a todos vocês que estão ouvindo aqui no Twitter Spaces. Nós iremos começar a tradução oficial em instantes, assim que o presidente Jair Bolsonaro se juntar à sala. E desde já gostaríamos que vocês também compartilhassem a sala, clicassem aqui na setinha, compartilhassem nos grupos de WhatsApp, de Telegram, nas suas redes sociais, e também para que vocês pudessem instalar um VPN e configurar a localização de vocês para os Estados Unidos, para que assim todos possam ter condições de acessar a sala.
Appreciate that, Ricardo. And just for the audience, when President Bolsonaro joins, we will have a unique situation on these spaces, but I think it's a unique, pivotal situation in terms of the context of what's being spoken about, and that is free speech in Brazil. And so what will be happening is when Mario asks a question, or one of the co-hosts or one of the speaker panelists asks a question to President Bolsonaro, that question will then be translated into Portuguese by Ricardo Martins, who is one of the panelists. Thereafter, President Bolsonaro's response will be translated into English by Mario Balaban, who is also a panelist. So that's going to be the structure of how we're going to, how the space will go, and in terms of the questioning President or former President Bolsonaro. Now, in terms of the space, I mean, this is a monumental space. First of all, because we have the ex-president of Brazil on, and then from a contextual perspective, we have a scenario where there's been a major conversation about censorship, both in Brazil and outside of Brazil. And Elon Musk has also engaged in that conversation that has basically brought the information or brought the issue to light to the Western audience, and more specifically the United States of America. So this is a very important conversation. We're looking forward to having the president on. As Mario said, the space, Mario is speaking to the president to basically ensure that there's no issues, and whatever the issues are in the background, some of that has been tweeted out. So do check out Mario's account, because the team is tweeting updates live, there is also censorship issues as well. So do continue watching the account and continue on with the space, because there will be translation. I want to go to one of the panelists, and I want to go to Julia Zanetta. Julia is a mother, a lawyer, and a journalist, and she is also the federal deputy for Santa Catarina, where she just won just last year. Julia, how, I mean, we're going to get the president on. How important, from your perspective, from a Brazilian perspective, I mean, not only are you elected official, but you also are a journalist and a lawyer. How important or pivotal do you believe that this conversation is going to be on Twitter Spaces, a space, Twitter, which is a free speech platform?
Hi, good night, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And first of all, I want you all to know that here in my region, in south of Brazil, we are suffering with floods. And Eduardo Bolsonaro just talked about Luciano Hang, that is a businessman in Brazil. He's Bolsonaro's supporter. And now he's helping a lot people from Rio Grande do Sul, the state here south of Brazil. But because of Alexandre de Moraes, he's censored in the media here in Brazil, in the social media, because of this problem with free speech that we are facing here. That's why I think this conversation will be important for freedom of speech in Brazil. Once people in Brazil cannot hear our conversation, they just can hear only with VPN. That is a bad thing that is happening to us. And it's important to note that Brazil has numerous political prisoners. One of them, it's here from Santa Catarina, my state. His name is Silvinei Vasquez. He's former director of the Federal Highway Police. He has been imprisoned since August of last year on the orders of Minister Alexandre de Moraes. Legal experts consider the imprisonment another of the minister's many abuses since Silvinei has been held without charges. Hello?
Appreciate that, Julia. Yeah, sorry, you cut off at the last few seconds. Do continue with what you're saying.
No, that's it.
Yeah, so just to kind of update here, kind of give the audience an idea. I appreciate everyone's patience. So we have two accounts that will be joining. One of them is a president's account, and one of them is an alternative account. So we're trying to bring both of them up. It is facing a few difficulties here. So we've had the president like the tweet about the space and follow me as well, just to confirm everything is fine. At least those functionalities work, and they'll be joining. They do have concerns that I'll be discussing with the president. I'd rather discuss it when he comes here about what, let's say, pressure he's facing right now. I'd like him to share it instead of me sharing it on his behalf. But we are overcoming these issues now before he joins. I do want to go to Nick quickly before going to another panelist. Nick, would like to give your thoughts on the discussion so far before going to the next panelist?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. There are clearly plenty of free speech issues going on in Brazil right now. But, but luckily we have government officials up here who can be voices of the people they represent to hopefully make a change down there. And I know we've had this discussion in previous spaces that you've been on with us,